Welcome, everyone, to another episode of On a Water Break Percussion Recap. My name is Steve McCarrick, and we've had a lot of great shows over the last 2 weeks, and we've got a couple great guest hosts with us here to talk about the shows. We'll go through the scores as well as just what we're seeing out there this year so far. With me on the sidelines this week, I've got Woody.
That's me. That's me.
Oh, yeah, man. Always happy to have you around. You just got so much knowledge. You've been in the mix forever. But Woody, you've also brought along a couple guests, a couple folks that are new to the show who I'm excited to meet here. Alongside us today, we've got Wardell King. Good to meet you, Wardell. And we've also got Mike D. How you doing, Mike?
What up?
Awesome. So we'll get to know a bit more about each of you guys right now. I think we talked through it before, but on our show, we do a 32 count life story, which gives you about 30 seconds to catch our listeners up to speed with who you are, what you do in the band world, and anything else that you might think we should know. So, Wardell, you ready to get us started with this?
I'll try, man. Here we go.
8 and in from the Met.
All right, my name is Wardell King. I am from Gilbert, Arizona. I'm a marching educator here, mostly specializing in marching percussion. I have a indoor group, Vision Percussion. We compete in PIO and teach a number of high schools, a number of private lessons here in Arizona. Just celebrated my 30th year teaching, so here in Arizona, I'm pretty happy about that, and just continuing to do it.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Arizona, you guys, were you out at the regional, I think, a week ago? There was one out there?
Last week.
Nice.
I saw that.
Yeah, so we're going to definitely want to hear what you were seeing out at that show. We'll probably come back to that one in a minute. But Mike, you ready to catch us all up to speed on what you've been up to in your entire lifetime?
Yeah.
I love
Hanging
it.
off the Met.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mike Davis. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. A lot of people call me Mike D in most of the marching circles. And I'm the director of Freedom Percussion out of St. Louis, Missouri. And I've been doing that for about 15 years now. Also, this is my 24th year judging Drum Corps International as a percussion judge. And been all over the world, all over places, judging a lot of marching band shows and doing a lot of cool things and meeting a lot of cool people like Wardell King and Big Wood, and glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here, man. I didn't realize until you talked about judging DCI, but you've judged me for sure.
Oh, really? Which
I definitely remember having some Mike D tapes at Crown.
I'm sorry.
Back Crown 2018, 2019. I was marching in the Battery.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember you told us that you wanted to put Vanguard ahead of us. Did not, but wanted to.
Did not to. Yeah, it was close.
It was fun, man. We
it's
actually
like Memphis, Tennessee, yeah.
It was close, but truly they deserved it over us. Yes, it was. It was in Tennessee. I remember the show, man. It was it was one of our better tapes we got all summer, so I appreciate
it. Thank you.
Of course, because they're my buddies.
Yeah, Woody, you got some great folks over here, man. You did a great job for this episode. Awesome. So let's hop into it a little bit. Wardell, why don't we talk a little bit about that Arizona regional? I got recaps over here, but how'd it go for you guys in your group?
I felt pretty good about it, man. I was kind of actually pretty nervous because it was the first time we had the costumes on and had the full show done, and I hadn't seen the kids in like a week because you have rehearsal, and then the next weekend we had to just kind of step into it.
Yeah.
The good thing is that one of my high schools that I work at, we actually hosted the show, and it's actually the same spot where Vision rehearses. So it wasn't, as far as the surroundings, wasn't a big deal because it's our home site. So
yeah, it was a home show for you guys, essentially.
It was kind of a home show, but man, the first time in the costumes, the first time in the, I was nervous, and anything can go wrong, and so we were at home, and I was afraid the kids were going to get a little too comfortable
Right.
with, the home team, hometown high school kids here, really making them feel a little bit more like rock stars than they need to be felt like. But yeah, man, it was a good overall experience. Had Caleb Rothy was out for that show. He happened to be the contest administrator, so it was kind of good to have him sitting in the stands watching some groups.
Mhm.
And we got a real great treat because the Marine Corps field band was actually on tour, and they asked to come they asked to come and play at like 10:45 at night after the awards. Man, and
That's funny you say
these
that.
dudes threw down. I mean,
One of
They
my
always do, though, don't they? They always do
yeah,
that.
but they were playing a bunch of beats that Colin McNuck wrote, and they were
uh-huh.
just
Oh,
they were
okay.
throwing down, man. It was,
Yeah.
but it was funny
Well,
because it's like 11 o'clock at night, man. And they've been waiting around all day, and they put on their uniform, man, and it was all over. I mean, kids are
yeah,
going wild, man.
they're
So,
intense, man. They have to go to boot camp and everything. My
well,
my
they
one
get
buddy
paid,
is in
not
the
the rips.
Marines. Yeah, they do. My one buddy is in the Commandant Zone, and he's been gone down there in the Southwest for essentially their spring training now for about a month, or maybe coming on a month and a half. I think he's home like next week. So this is, I guess, a performance near the end of their spring training, basically.
Yeah, they spring train in Yuma, Arizona, which was about 2 hours away. So they just drove down. They
That's
heard that
cool.
WGI Regional was here, and they were like, "Can we come down and perform?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." So,
Right, because I'm sure when you're like out in Yuma, Arizona, working on drum corps in February, you're
not
itching for
where you
some
want to be,
chance to
man.
perform.
Yeah, there's a jail out there. That's about it.
Yeah, it's a rough space of the country.
Yeah,
That's
they're pretty
exactly
out.
where I'd expect the Marines to go to do their spring training. Actually, it's one of the most brutal places in the.
Yeah, it's like
Awesome.
I got two things with that. First off, I wanted to move to Arizona, and my wife is holding me up here, and nothing like the mother-in-law. I don't know if any of you, Steve. I know you don't know what that is.
I don't
That's
know
all
about that yet. I don't want to hear about that yet, Woody.
right. And two, I just did not have the stones to join the Marines. I thought about it, but I kept thinking, well, what if something happens? Then I might have to go to fight, or no, thanks.
I've heard some crazy stuff about that, because I heard that the last time this was a big deal was in, I think, World War II. But actually, the Commandant Zone stays back, and they like take care of the facilities in DC, even when we're drafting regular people to go to war in a serious war. So
Yeah,
I've been
well,
assured that it's very not combative to be in the Marine Drum and Bugle Corps, but I felt the same way, Woody. I was like, I don't know that I trust it.
I know a few people that have been in it, and my fear was, well, what if I don't make it? Oh
Right.
no.
Then you gotta
they're
get
pretty
back.
serious. They're pretty serious, man. Like, just we got a chance to just watch their warm up, and I was going, man, like these dudes, they're. I don't want to say they're better than some top 12 folks, but
Oh, well,
they can
they
play.
kind
I'll say that.
they're usually top 12 folks that have aged out and now just are getting a pension for
Yeah.
continuing to drum. So it doesn't surprise me to hear it. I know they work hard over there.
They're fun to be around. They went around and were checking out a bunch of high school kids lots.
That's
which
cool
I thought
too.
was
It's cool for the
which
high
is really,
schoolers.
which was really cool. And the Hornline folks were checking out some of the wind players. So it was a good thing in Arizona for them just to be walking around the lot, and they were super friendly. So
Nice. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about that Arizona regional? I've got it pulled up here. Congrats, because I see that Vision Percussion did win a Percussion Independent Open with a 91.89 in effect Viz. So you must be doing something good with that show, man. Looks like it's been a heater for you guys.
We feel pretty good about it. Yeah, I mean it's a different show. It's a different show. But
are there videos out of the show yet?
Yeah,
or
there should be something out. I mean, somebody. I saw a lot of phones out. I'll say that.
There's a bootleg out there somewhere, right?
There's a bootleg out there someplace, man, for sure.
I'll have to go find it after after our call tonight then. But
check it out, man. I mean, it's, you know, I think it's good, but I'm a little biased, you know.
What's the program? What's the program? What is it?
It's called The World Aglow. And basically, it's talking about the power of the golden hour, like when the sun gets to that great place and feels great and looks great, and everybody takes a picture of it setting or rising.
See, that's Arizona, man.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a
Arizona,
very Arizona show.
Man. That's Arizona.
So we just took a play on, basically kind of looked up what the golden hour means in our first design meetings and wanted to play on why it's called that, for one, and why people have, you know, kind of put that moniker on it. And so the whole show plays around the tranquility of the golden hour from sunrise to sunset.
Yeah, it's cool. It sounds like exactly the type of show where you could do so much with the Viz and just make it like a really gorgeous program to watch.
That's what we were going for, tranquility and gorgeous, but we couldn't call it golden hour, man, because we thought the kids would end up changing the name of it to something pretty graphic.
Oh, no.
So that's where the world
aglow. Indeed.
Yeah. Just to let you know why it's not called that.
That's funny. Yeah. Looking back down the rest of that sheet from Arizona, it's looking like Horizon Combined Schools. They took home the first place in Scholastic A. Independent A, we had Pinnacle Percussion winning with a 74.6. Looking down to Scholastic Open, we've got Basha High School winning with a 77.65. As we just mentioned, Percussion Independent Open, we've got Vision with an 85, Breakthrough Indoor Percussion with an 83.2, and Linnea with a 74.6. And then we've had one world-class group go out at that show. That was a Flux Indoor Percussion, taking home an 83.65.
Yep.
Cool. Right. So let's take a look at the other regionals that happened on that same day, March 2nd. We also had a regional out in White Lake, Michigan, had a regional in Spartanburg, South Carolina, Burleson, Texas, and a 2-day regional out in Indianapolis. So we'll come back to that one in a minute. What's that, Woody?
Indianapolis. Mike, you were there, right?
Yeah.
At Indianapolis, weren't you?
Yeah, that's the only regional we go to.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Judging or teaching?
Teaching.
Give us the scoop, man.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, teaching with freedom, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about the day.
Well, obviously our competitive success wasn't as good as Mr. Wardell King's, but we're a little bit more. Our shows take a little bit more time to kind of get right, a little bit more developed. So we went into that show very underdeveloped. None of our props were in, or any of the. Matter of fact,
totally.
Show done. Yeah. So our the kids played really well. The music judges liked it a lot. On Saturday did. And so it was cool. It was good. It's a good, that show for us is more of a, let's see what this is. And then we'll go back home and make all of our changes. And we kind of believe like, it's not really about the regional. It's more about the championships when we all get together. So, that show for us is definitely more of a, are we doing this right? Is that cool? Is that not cool? And, we usually come out of that show with a lot of good information, especially with 2 panels to look at it. So, so for us, it's a little bit different. We're not really worried about winning it or anything like that. It would be nice, but the 2 groups that were above us, they're so much more complete and, just more on the floor. And we had just gotten our uniforms in the day before. And, so for us, it's a little bit more of a process, which is cool. We're kind of good with that. That's how it's been for like the last couple of years for us. We've medaled the last 2 years. So at least that process usually works for us. So this past weekend, it was we're changing this, we're changing that, we're cutting this, cutting that. And, and so we have a couple of local shows coming up before we get to the championship. So it's kind of our plan. And I didn't. It's kind of hard, and I'm sure Wardell can attest to this. it's kind of hard when you're a director to really get out and, like see a lot of teams, because it's, you're like, hey, get over there and load the truck. Let's go. We got rehearsal, and just,
You don't see anybody, man.
yeah. And,
by the time they finish loading the truck,
you're like,
you sit down for the first time, right?
Yeah. And then they're trying to watch the groups that are out in the lot. Actually, it was for Indianapolis. The weather was like beautiful for both days, and groups were warming up outside, which is, if you've ever been in the Midwest in regional season.
Oh, that's cool.
It's
nice.
like, if you've ever been in the Midwest in the regional season, it's like snowing, and, it's like 30 degrees and nobody's warming up outside. And if they are, they're very brave.
No.
I
remember back in 2017 when I was at the Midwest Regional, MCM was over there next to us, and they had these completely open, like no shoes, just like bare feet on the ground, and it was snowing. And they had to actually like move around. I think they had something for the lot, but when they were moving out of the arena and they had to like book it with their stuff, they were just running through the parking lot with no shoes on, just like dying out there in the Midwest winter.
Yeah. That
and like, hey, they got a gold medal for it, so they're probably not mad. But like,
they're probably not upset about that. Yeah,
sacrifice.
That was
we make sacrifices.
Was that the Hand of Man? Is that when they won?
I think that one was the Mideast Regional.
Yeah.
That used to be at a university, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe in Tennessee. I forget though.
Yeah.
Let's take this minute here. Let's hop to a quick commercial break. And we will be back with some more of these regionals after we return.
Hey everyone, it's Jeremy, the producer from On a Water Break, the main show. And while you're enjoying this great bonus content from some amazing hosts, there's a whole other show happening with guests, news, and plenty of other fun things that you and your friends are talking about on a water break. So take a moment, go subscribe so that you can get your notifications every week for the main episode of On a Water Break. If you have news or know of somebody that would be a great guest, or maybe you would be a great guest, email us at onawaterbreakpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media at onawaterbreak. And now back to this fantastic bonus content.
And we'll see you at the show.
All right, we are back, and we've got like 7 more regionals to get through. So I'm gonna read through a couple of these winners here real quick from some more shows on the 2nd. We're looking now at Burleson, Texas, which was a pretty big show, reasonably large. Here we had Louisville High School taking home the gold medal for Percussion Scholastic A. They won that with the 83.65. In Percussion Scholastic Open, we actually had a bunch of groups. So shout out to Glenn High School that was able to come home with that gold medal, taking home an 84 flat. A bunch of Scholastic World groups at this show too, and several of them are new names to me, actually. I wonder if maybe any of these will sound familiar to any of you guys, but we'll go down the list. In 5th place, we had Pearland High School with a 78.9. Followed by Broken Arrow, who I did not realize really competed in at least world class.
This might be their 3rd or 4th year.
3rd or 4th season, yeah.
Wow.
3rd or 4th
okay.
season. They're pretty good, man.
I always knew them for being such a huge like BOA school and stuff like that. But I didn't know that they were doing indoor percussion, so maybe I'll need to keep an eye out for that. But Broken Arrow, they came home. They actually tied for 3rd place with an 80.45, along with Bridgeland High School. But then in 2nd place, we had Boswell High School with an 82.15, and Burleson Centennial High School wins the gold medal with an 85.45. This show has
been coming up, man. I don't know. I've been seeing them the last 2 years, and they're good.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays there's almost a whole different guard of like world-class high schools.
I've seen them warming up out in the lot at championships a couple times and was very impressed. Yeah, very impressed with those guys.
Cool.
Yeah, well, they must be doing something right. Like an 85.45 from a high school in world class on March 2nd is contending. You'll be up there. It's tough with like some of those extremely crazy, like the Chino Hills and Ayalas of the world, but
That's
top
why I like
placement
seeing
right
them,
there.
man, because it's like there's somebody else on the West Coast.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. No, you're right.
Fresh face, fresh
There's
face.
other
Yeah.
world-class high schools out here, and they're clearly doing really big things. So I'm excited to check them out come champs as well. For world class, we did have 2 groups in world class at that show, and a timing penalty, actually. So the second place group actually did win first place in sub score. They got an 82.6 as their final. This was Vigilantes Indoor Percussion, and Rhythmic Force Percussion took home the first place medal with an 82.9. So
Right.
pretty big show down there in Texas that weekend, but we've got some more shows to go through. So let's take a peek around here. Looking at Scholastic A in Spartanburg, we have Green Hope High School with a 76.6. In percussion, wow, okay, there's some big gaps here. Scholastic Open, we have the next one with an 81.15, 96th High School, which, side note, I knew someone that went to 96, and I just think that's so interesting. You ever hear
Is
of
that the name of the school?
96? Yes.
That's the name of the school?
96 High School in
96
South
Is that the year it was
Carolina.
built?
I don't know, man. I think it's,
That's
I'm
wild.
pretty sure it's actually the name of the town. I couldn't tell
Okay.
you why, but the name of the town is
I've judged them a
96,
couple
South
of times
Carolina.
in marching
Creativity
band.
is interesting.
I've judged them
All
a
right.
couple of times in marching band and a couple of indoor shows.
Yeah, you've
Mhm.
seen them, right? Yeah. Okay. They're a pretty big school because I knew kids in drum corps
Yeah.
that came from
Yep.
96.
Yep.
So that's interesting. Shout out to them. They won the gold medal for percussion Scholastic Open, just barely edging out Dobbins Bennett, who I know we've spoken about their color guard a couple times as well. Big band school over there. In percussion independent open, we had a Q2. I didn't know Atlanta Quest came up here. That's cool. Q2 took home the gold medal with an 83.2, Civitas with an 82.15, Paradigm Percussion with a 78.55, and Palmito Indoor Theater with a 74.6.
I love Civitas, man. I love that group. I think they're great.
Yeah, man. Civitas, I think Civitas and Freedom Percussion, I feel like I knew a bunch of kids that were from that kind of like are they that
Oh,
close
no.
together? They're not close
No.
together necessarily, but could kids maybe march from the same region,
Well, we're
both
like,
of those
they're on the
ensembles?
coast and we're in the
I might be drawing a
Midwest.
blank then, or thinking of a
So
different
we're
group, but
a little bit further away from those guys, but yeah.
they're on the coast. Okay.
North Carolina, right?
I didn't realize they were in on the coast. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a hike, but I think so. It doesn't say here, but I knew Civitas kids from was Crown audition camps. There were usually some kids out there that were from Civitas, and I think I remember someone from Freedom as well, but he might have just made the hike out. Regardless, though, moving down the sheet, we did have one world-class group for Scholastic and one world-class independent group as well. So Dorman High School brought home the 79.75 in Scholastic World, and Atlanta Quest made their debut for 2024 with an 82.5 in world class.
You know, Steve, not to bust your groove or anything, but the concert percussion world class, this Catawba Ridge High School, they laid the smackdown with an 82.7 to a 77. Woo!
Oh my goodness. Well, I think they did even better the next day, man, because I'm looking now. You might have been on prelims. They took home an 84.5 on the final sheet.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'm looking at the prelims. I tend to do that to make sure I have everybody. And I'm like, whoa, look
Right,
at that.
that makes sense. Yeah. Sometimes not everyone does the finals one, but yeah, they got even better by the later that afternoon, I guess. I would love, I've never gotten to actually see concert in real life. I guess you guys probably have, right?
Yeah, concerts is a little different. Well, not a different world. It's a different world because they're not marching, but it's just as cutthroat.
The
And
touch,
I think
the approach. Yeah.
approach. Maybe at points, maybe Woody, you'd agree that you can hang out a little bit more in the innovation side because you don't have the movement going on. So there's some cool scores that get some cool music that gets played. That I don't know if some marching groups would necessarily take on all the time, but yeah, we got a great group here in Arizona and that's called Scholastic Open concert, and they're like, I look at that class and go, man, this is crazy. We didn't even got the Scholastic World yet. I mean, Open's pretty cutthroat, man. I've watched them, man. They play, all those groups play. I mean, it isn't like number 5 plays too. Number 8 plays well too. It's just like pretty cool to watch.
I wish I could see. I think it was Woodbridge High School, maybe, that holds the WGI like record for the highest score ever, and it's like a Scholastic Concert World score. That must have been.
Yeah, they're crazy. Did you ever see them?
No, I haven't. Woodbridge? I've never gotten to see concert in real life at all.
Woodbridge is in that same district as Ayala.
Oh, and they're a Cali group.
I want to say they have some of the same staff as well.
But they don't do a marching group.
World.
I think they have some of the same staff.
Yeah, they do, Mike. Yeah. They were killing, man.
I've judged Woodbridge before too out in the SCPA. They're
that makes sense really solid. How they were able to. Yeah, I'll have to take some time now that I'm not marching anymore and get me like a day. Do you know what day does concert do the same WGI like a weekend, and are they in the Dayton arena doing their finals on one of the days?
They should be in the arena on
Saturday afternoon, maybe
Friday afternoon,
like a Friday afternoon. Okay.
For prelims, yeah.
Wait,
that seemed to be. Too. I know for a little while that was one of the biggest problems of getting the people in the room to see these fantastic groups play. Because everyone's just hanging out in the parking lot waiting for the movement to start.
Oh, so is it before world class semis that afternoon?
I want to say the concert finals are before world class semis.
Okay.
Last year concert was over at the Nutter.
That makes sense then, because I know as the first world class groups start showing up.
Yeah, that's the concert over at the Nutter Center last year.
Michael's concert finals at Nutter?
No, actually, the Nutter Center is probably a better suited venue for that than the arena. The arena is a little big for that approach. A little too much space around it. You lose that.
I agree.
That intimate feel for concert percussion. I think the Nutter Center is definitely the choice.
Well, I need to choose to get out there and see some of these concert groups because you guys have all great things to say, and I think I'd appreciate it now. I've been doing this for so long. I would love to just like see the kind of refinement that you could get if you weren't concerned about putting on like a moving product.
A lot of artistry, man. I think you would like.
Yeah.
I think you could watch probably 2 classes of it and not be over it.
Yeah, you just got to really dig the musicianship of it all. That's what you're really looking at, and the cleanliness. That's just like the marching, the cleanliness part, but the approach and the musicianship. That's the thing,
And don't they sometimes like look at more timbres and stuff too? Like if you're doing a concert percussion ensemble, like you're going to get creative with the different elements of percussion that you have in that group.
Well, you're going to see all the instruments that you probably, wouldn't necessarily put in your front ensemble. These guys get super creative, man. Like, it's cool.
Okay.
That'll be cool. That's something. Go ahead.
No, you get the multiple. I'm going to play the marimba and the djembe at the same time approach, and different textures and stuff like that. A lot.
Yeah.
Where you might freak out a marching kid, like, I can't do both at the same time. No. I have 4 mallets in my hand. Well, here, take this 5th one and a stick.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's like different elements of percussion that we don't really usually get the time to explore. So I'm all bought in. I'll go check some of that out this upcoming finals trip, I think. Anyway, though, let's move into some of the regionals that we had just this last couple days ago. We're looking at March 9th, and the first one I'm at is in Richmond, Virginia. One of my favorites close to home because this is where George Mason University makes their competitive debut each year. And it looks like they had a pretty good show here, coming out with a 86.25. moving down the line in Percussion Independent Open, we had Spectre Percussion with an 84.9 and Old Line Independent with an 82.25. In Scholastic Open, Thomas Jefferson High School brought home the gold medal, but it was pretty close. South County High School, which I think South County might sometimes compete in World, sometimes in Open.
Who's Spectre? I haven't heard of Spectre Percussion.
Truthfully,
I've never heard of either.
And
but they laid it
we're
down.
East Coast guys over here. Yeah, so maybe they're new.
Man. I just saw that score going, all right. Let's go. Let's go.
Right. You see that and you're like, that's my competition.
Y'all got my attention. You got my attention.
Oh, look, Spectre. Isn't that the guy from The Incredibles? It was Spectre. What is this?
Spectre. Yeah, the ensemble's run by him, I heard. Mr.
Mike, have you seen him?
I have seen a video. There's a video of him on YouTube.
Mike, have you seen him?
There's a video on the YouTube of him you can check out. Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
It's a pretty nice show. I liked it a lot.
And it looks like they too. They were rocking that VisuFX score as well.
You know, Steve, I'm looking at the Scholastic A. A lot of local teams from the tri-state area, Pennsylvania, New Jersey.
Oh wow.
It's nice to see because
Hempfield,
for so long we didn't have any tri-state area participating. You know, it was a lonely event. It's nice to see so many people coming through.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like in the absence of having Unionville and some other like older tri-state shows. I wonder if maybe groups are making the push down there just to get some different competition. But yeah, I'm definitely seeing what you're talking about. Hempfield, Central Dauphin, Downingtown East. These are all like some big PA schools making their way down to Virginia.
Local PA schools, yeah. So that's pretty cool.
As
a matter of fact, Central and West Shore and Hempfield, they compete in KIDA. I should probably see them in the next week or two.
Oh, okay.
And Downingtown East, Downingtown East just got a new percussion instructor, and he's a former United guy, like from the early days.
Early? How early are you talking?
Yeah. Matt Lusky.
Matt Lusky. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I know Matt personally.
No, I'm talking like the early 2000.
Like the 2003 days of United?
Yeah, 2003. Yeah.
Oh man, foundational, an OG member.
Yeah, he's a foundational guy. Yes.
That's awesome.
And he went on to do Penn State. You guys probably remember when Penn State was drumming, and in the WGI thing, he went on to do that.
Yeah, if Penn State didn't wrap up their ensemble right before I got there as a freshman, I don't know if I ever would have made it down to United. I'd have just been hanging out in Central PA all the time.
In Central PA, huh?
Penn State was pretty good, man.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
Yeah, Penn State was, I think they were a legit open group, right? Is that what they were competing in? Yeah. Penn State was nice. It's because you got a pretty strong drumline contingency up there, but you also get to pull down groups from like upstate New York and stuff. A lot of their membership would actually come in from out of the university and north of campus. It's kind of sorely needed. The community up there is kind of sorely needs a new drum line.
There's a lot of drum lines that that aren't around anymore
that's
you wish were around. They're Penn State, all those guys. I'm sure Woody could attest to a lot of those older groups that we wish were still around. The activity would be so much bigger right now. Yeah.
The groundbreakers, huh? They're making sure that Steven can be an all-star.
They walked so that I could run. So that I could march 6 to 5s. Cool. Let's take a little look down. We've got a couple more regionals to get here. But quickly before we go, shout out to Chantilly High School with the 86.05 at that Richmond regional, winning Scholastic A. And special shout out to Hempfield as well. We were just talking about them, but a pretty frequent guest of the show, Matt Carahar, who comes in here. He was actually on our last percussion regional recap. I believe that is his school. So good job to them, really taking it home. Next regional we'll take a look at, we got Jackson, Mississippi, which really I wish I I feel like I'm really not familiar with that whole Southern scene. Are any of you guys more familiar with the like Southern indoor scene?
I never see any of those guys to like go to Dayton, man. Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, me neither. I don't know a whole lot about the schools, but it does look like we've got some winners. So let's go through here. We've got Brandon High School took home. Oh, this is actually the Winds Scholastic A. They had some Winds competition here with a 73.4. Looking at Percussion Scholastic A, we had Germantown High School win with an 87.325. In the Percussion Scholastic Concert Open class, DeSoto Central High School won with a 75.4. Percussion Scholastic Open, we had a Pace High School win with actually, this is a pretty high score, I think, for this time of year, an 87.075. I don't know if I've seen that yet in Scholastic Open.
That's pretty high
They
score.
got a couple box fives sporting in there, and they're right on the edge with everything else.
Yeah, no, they're close. It looks like the Viz stuff is super strong, and the music stuff is just catching up right behind them. So they're going to be a force come Dayton this year, I bet. Taking a look at Independent Open La Fourche Indoor Percussion, which I can only assume comes from somewhere down the Louisiana area. They won Independent Open with an 80.35, and Lotus Indoor Percussion came in second with a 75.3. One more regional this weekend we had out in Denver, Colorado, and this one's a relatively small regional. But let's read through these groups nonetheless. We got Centaurus High School winning Percussion Scholastic A with an 84.45. Scholastic Concert A, Castleview High School wins with a 66.4. In Concert Open, Broomfield High School wins with a 75.8. Percussion Scholastic Open, we've got Legacy Winter Percussion Ensemble winning with an 81.2. Percussion Independent Open, we've got BKO winning with a 76.7. Sun City Independent in second with a 73.8. And in a Percussion Independent World, we have one of the most storied WGI ensembles, I would say. If you know, you know. Blue Knights Indoor Percussion Ensemble with an 82.65 wins Percussion Independent World, followed by Rise with a 76.4.
Yeah, Rise just got promoted too.
Oh, so Rise was open prior.
No, wait a minute. I'm thinking of another group from I just lost it. They're from Idaho or Salt Lake, somewhere around there.
Rift. I think there was
Rift Percussion. It was Rift Percussion used to be Independent A, and they got bumped to Independent Open.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we also have that Salt Lake Regional. It looks like that was a March 9th one we haven't touched on either. Yeah, Rift Percussion there. They got into Independent Open, came in second with a 78.95. Not too far behind Gold Spike Percussion, which won Independent Open with an 82.75. Scholastic
Gold Spike they get better every year.
Gold Spike?
Yeah,
this is one that I'm not too familiar with yet. But it does sound like you're one of the experts on the Independent Open stuff, since you're deep inside that competition.
Yeah, I tend to go down that rabbit hole.
Well, people should check that class out. I think this year is probably going to be its most competitive. There's a lot of good groups out there. There's a lot of good teams out there. It generally does have an audience on Saturday afternoon for finals, but I think Independent Open is probably just as competitive as Independent World. Especially some years, it's some really good shows down there. I know we're kind of the bastard stepchild of the activity sometimes, but it's really competitive, and it's really some really neat shows. Some really I would say you probably have a lot of creativity coming from in the Independent Open scene. And so, yeah, if you're going to Dayton, go watch Independent Open.
You'll get to see us. I almost want to say, I don't know, Mike was on it, but I'd like to. It might even be more competitive than the Independent World.
Just remember, life starts at conception. I like the little groups.
Yeah. I think Independent Open's way more of a bloodbath than Independent World.
You know why it's like that? I think because people are trying harder to get promoted, so that they're thinking a lot more about how they present their teams. Where when you get a world group, you know what's coming through the door, you know kind of hands, you can plan anything. With the open group, you have to sit back and take your time and plan correctly.
Sure.
And that's where I do agree. Like you guys were saying, open being more competitive than world. I think you're actually really onto something. Like world, the cookies have been crumbling in a certain way. And it's just because, you know, there's just so much talent and design and just middle school to high school to independent to your I'm talking about Pulse at the top end of that, where it's just like decades of building these groups up. In Independent Open, it's a much more like fierce competition environment. It sounds like where it really could be anyone's game any year. Do you guys agree with that?
It is certainly just as special when you do well in that class as it is, and I've been a part of both of them. Where you do well, and when I used to be with Gateway, and we used to do pretty okay in that class in Independent World, and but man, and being in Open, it feels a lot more special, and hopefully my buddy Wardell is really going to feel, you know, like what it's like to medal this year and all the rest of that, and be up in the thick of it. I would really love that for him. And so come watch it. I mean, you know, buy your tickets. You know, yeah, it's general admission, and you know, like come on, grab a seat anywhere. You know, like it's really cool.
I intend to, man. If I can find if Chad Moore will give me one free moment on on a Friday afternoon that week, I will be in there. But thank you all for coming on our recap this week. Thank you, Woody. Thank you, Wardell. Thank you, Mike. And thank you all for listening as well. I hope you've been having as much fun with the WGI season as we have. We'll probably be back with at least one more of these before Dayton, and look forward to talking a bunch about WGI once we get to Dayton week. Thank you all for coming. Everybody.
All right, guys.
And go practice.
Go practice.
Go practice. Yeah. See y'all.